Hello. I hear music, or is that a drill? No, I think it's a drill. Anyway, listen. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the first episode of the Xbox Factor podcast. I'm your host, Mr. BoomStick XL. And as you can see, folks, we have an all-star panel with potentially one or two more guests popping in to say hello. Happy 2023. It has not been the greatest of years for health for a lot of people. Of course, I'm talking about our very good friend, our good brother, Hogue Law, suffered a stroke on Friday of last week. And of course, like myself and Mrs. Boom and everybody on this panel and everybody in the community have been reaching out to Mrs. Hogue Law and wishing and praying and sending, as she calls it, pixie dust to help Rich out. Obviously, he's a staple in this community. Every day that she makes a post, it seems like it is getting better. It is going to be a long road to recovery, but there has not been any potholes or setbacks from what we understand. The last update I saw as early as this morning. So of course, we wish Richard Hogue a very, very speedy recovery, because this world needs him. His family needs him, more important. And of course, we got to get him healthy. But let's welcome in our panel, and someone that hasn't been here in a while, and thanks to Mother Nature, yes, is here today. Pong Soul, what's up, brother? Happy New Year. How you feeling?
Oh, I am doing great, Boom. Great to be back here. It's been way too long, but yes, your favorite Mother Nature, Boom, did cooperate.
I'm jealous
today.
of you right now, because we're getting rain here in New Rochelle. You're getting snow. I don't like it.
I know, but we're also getting ice, which is always not a good thing. So I am going to be working from home today, so I thought I would sneak in here and get an Xbox Factor podcast in. What a way to start 2023. Like you said, outside of all the health stuff going on with Jeremy Renner and Ken Block, and of course our very own Hogue. Again, I would rather do this right here today on Xbox Factor podcast, talk some gaming with my brothers. And I've never had the pleasure of doing a podcast with Retri yet. So great to be here. Great to meet you, Retri. Let's go. Too, man. Absolutely. But of course, my other brothers here, Daniel McGee, Boxenberger, Infinite Umbra, and who else? Maybe somebody else sneaks in here today, Boom. But we got a lot to talk about.
We might get Mav in here.
We might get Mav. We might get Mav. So that'll be great. But otherwise, Boom, it has been way too long. Great to see everybody. Chat, you're all looking beautiful and amazing. I hope the new year was great to you so far. Hope it started off awesome, and the rest of the holidays as well. But let's get down to business, Boom.
Well, honestly, you could not have picked a better day to be here, because, folks, we got some massive, and I'm talking massive Starfield news, folks. Starfield is going to drop in March, and I'm putting my rubber stamp on it. I even put the date in there. I think that we are going to get an atypical Todd Howard leather jacket come out here. This is the game. He's going to come up on this supposed, quote unquote, rumored event that's happening at the end of January, and he's going to say, hey, this is the Starfield gameplay. And he's going to give us a release date for March, which is going to be 3/23/23. And the world is going to crack open, because, man, the world certainly needs Starfield. But you happen to be here, and you're one of his biggest fans. You call him God Howard. We're going to get into that.
Yes.
But you know what? Who else is here that he gets here when he can? Boxenberger, all the way from Germany. What's up, brother? How you feeling?
Hey, Happy New Year to everyone. Happy New Year to the panel. Happy New Year to the community. I'm excited to be here. Wouldn't miss the first Xbox Factor podcast of 23, the year of Xbox. I have the feeling that this year is finally the year that the Xbox fans have been waiting for. And what better way to kick this year off with this amazing community that you built here. And of course, my brothers here on the panel. Can't wait for the show. Thanks for the invite, man.
Looking forward to it. And yes, this is the way you kick off a year. Obviously, for a lot of our channels, we all had incredible success. Double Barrel Gaming saw we just missed 12K by a couple of hundred subs, which is incredible. When I started out this journey, I never thought I'd get here, but here we are. And I'm live streamer 5 days a week. I love it. Have never gotten tired of it. But I want to welcome in Daniel McGee, the master of both long and short content. He just did a video. Hopefully you can go check it out. Daniel, how you feeling in your 70 degrees shorts and t-shirt?
Oh, it's 70 degrees, bright and shiny here in Texas. Having a good old time. Might go for a walk.
I don't like you. I don't like you.
Don't even. Fun fact: don't even own a snow shovel. Don't even own one. Never seen it. I'm not sure that they exist. Actually, I'm pretty sure it's a fairy tale.
All right, keep going.
No, it's a good time. Yeah, I've got that video coming up. Hopefully later today. I got to finish exporting it, and then it should be right up. But yeah, we're talking about all my favorite things of 2022. So we're starting the year off on a positive note, which the rest of the world has seemingly not gotten the drift that we should start the new year in a good way. But here we are.
Well, listen, it's great to have you a part of today's show. Like I said, we have a huge set of topics. We're going to get into the Redfall delay, why that happened. Again, speculation. We're going to talk about System Shock announced for everything but PlayStation 5. Now, granted, that is probably going to change, but it is on Kickstarter, and System Shock is getting a full-on remake, and some of the screenshots look incredible. Again, surprisingly enough, it wasn't announced for PlayStation 5. I don't know if that was a mistake or what the scenario is, but I would imagine at some point it will be announced. But if it's not, it is going to definitely be a story in itself. But Retri, how you said you were going to be late, but you broke your rear to get here. How you feeling, brother? Welcome.
I feel good. I had to put out a video. I got up really early this morning to work on it. I wasn't sure I was going to make it on time, but I did. But yeah, so I just put out a video about all the spicy rumors we're going to talk about today and some other stuff, of course, Game Pass games. So I'm ready. I'm excited. It's 2023. Happy New Year, everybody. And this is the year, guys. This is it. It's one.
Well, I saw a space that had probably about a couple of hundred people in there, and it was titled, what the heck was the title? It was Xbox's Last Stand, I think. And look, folks, I have, I think, two or three Xbox shows per week. It's my brand of choice. There's no doubt about it. Do I think that that if somehow they drop the ball, would it be curtains for Xbox ultimately? Probably not, but it wouldn't be a good look. 2022 was, for the most part, a D for first party for obvious reasons. I'm not going to make excuses for them. I normally don't. I give them the smoke where they deserve it. But I think that 2023, very much like PlayStation had for 2022, most of those games that were arrived there were all delayed from the year prior. So they overloaded their first party catalog with 4 massive games. Now, some of them hit commercially and critically, and some of them didn't, right? But they were still 4 massive first-party games that came out and bookended the years, right, of 2022. Now, if you're a Sony fan, you probably consider that to be a W. I think it's a win for Sony because it's 4 major first-party games. That's going to happen this year for Xbox, but I think that we're going to see something where it's potential that they might double them up. Microsoft has so many rounds in the chamber that I don't know what the size of the magazine they're holding, but it's huge. And they're gonna start off the year right. But we're gonna get into what that in a second. Infinite Umbra, the man with the best singing voice on the panel, potentially in the community. What's up, brother? How you feeling? Welcome New Year.
What do we do, baby, without love? What do we do, baby, without love?
I can't believe people still have you on panels. I can't believe it.
That's why.
No, Happy New Year to everybody. It's good to be back. This is actually the first podcast of the year for me. So, yeah, I've had other people, hey, you want to appear? I'm like, no, it must be the Xbox Factor.
Well, we definitely appreciate you being here, brother, and of course, the best voice in the business. No doubt about that. But listen,
I try not to let it go to my head, but trust me, I'm floating over here.
Well, it's great to have you a part of the show, and like I said, folks, we're not doing gameplay today because this is a massive panel. We may have 1 or 2 people sneak in here on the back end, But I do want to open up with some smaller news, and of course, this one went over a lot of people's heads. Now, Hitman obviously is by IO Interactive, one of the developers or publishers, because they do publish their own things now. I'm hoping eventually become Xbox Game Studios' first party. They're working on them on Project Dragon. I'd love to see this team that has had a lot of rocky roads in some of their prior dealings, specifically with Square Enix. I mean, obviously anyone that works with them it's like a death sentence over there at Square Enix. You work with them and they're going to throw you under the bus any chance they get. And what IO wound up retaining their own, Hitman IP, and they left and they're doing their own thing. Well, this morning it was announced by IO Interactive's official Twitter account that Hitman, the series, has now is under one umbrella. What do I mean by that? Well, it's called now Hitman World of Assassination. And what is included in this? Because it was Hitman 1, 2, and 3. Well, it is now Hitman 3 has become Hitman World of Assassination, and it includes all of the content from Hitman 1 and 2. So basically what it is the Master Chief Collection for Hitman. And I think that is pretty damn awesome. It also is in Xbox Game Pass, from what I understand. And if that, in fact, is the case, well, if you're a Hitman fan and you always struggled with what DLC is here, what DLC is there, there was some trouble with trying to figure out the content. Now it's all under one umbrella. And I think that is going to serve the game a tremendous amount of justice. Pong, I'll go to you first. Again, not the biggest story of the day. We're going to get into Redfall. We're going to get into the big story of the day, Starfield, which we all have opinions on this. I shot in the dark, and I wound up hitting a mark. I didn't even know that. Maybe I'm a hitman. I don't know. But is first of all, two questions.
Yeah.
Is this good for Hitman, the series? And when you see a move like this, it's in Game Pass. Microsoft is working with them on an exclusive called Project Dragon. Does IO Interactive, is that one of the studios you want to see join XGS?
Yeah. This is, it's kind of where they've been moving to for a while now with Hitman, kind of making it a platform by, obviously, if you previously owned 1 and 2, it was all rolled in once they got 3 up and running. So this makes a lot of sense. We should also mention that you won't be able to purchase 1 and 2 anymore on the storefronts. They are pulling 1 and 2 from the storefronts completely. So if you don't already own that content, you will be buying the entire package. So, it's a good move on IO's part to kind of make this Master Chief Collection. I think moving forward, this is kind of how they envisioned Hitman, being this where they just drop new content, whether it be like they've been doing. They are great supporters of the Hitman game. They continuously update that game. We've seen all the seasons and all that kind of stuff that go into it. So this all makes sense with where they're moving the franchise to. So I think this is very cool. World of Assassination, they obviously stole it from Boxenberger. World of Gaming, they obviously should probably pay
obviously.
But this is no, I think this is the natural move for IO to do this with that IP. As far as going forward, absolutely, Boom. We've talked about this. This goes all the way back to when those original rumors that IO might be in the mix for an acquisition, obviously prior to ABK and all of that stuff. I think IO would be a great addition. Again, top quality games from them. Hitman is, comes out. It's got very little bugs, polished, looks great. They know what they're doing. And I think IO, obviously, depending on what they do with Project Dragon, could be in that next round of acquisitions once ABK is done. Something we speculated on plenty here. And I think IO would be that type of studio that comes in and makes an impression on Microsoft if they've not already. And I think that that definitely could be the move next, Boom. So I like IO Interactive. I think they would be great.
Yeah, and speaking of which, I don't know what time they're supposed to meet today. I don't know if it's
3 p.m.
It's 3. Okay, so thank you so much for that. And of course, you know what I'm talking about. Today at 3 p.m., thanks to Retry, Microsoft will be going to their first pre-trial against the FTC. And the judge that is overseeing this, well, he has thrown out several of the FTC's cases recently. As a matter of fact, I think the one that I'm currently aware of, that I'm privy of, I should say, is the cancer drug case that that was thrown out the minute it came across the judge's desk. So there are some speculation, and of course, this is Speculation Town 101, that it could potentially get thrown out at this stage. Is it likely? Not really, but it could.
Well, this is
happen.
a hearing, Boom. I'm not sure
Yeah.
that's going to happen, to be honest with you. It's not really a trial.
It's
that word's getting
pre-trial.
pushed out
It's pre-trial. Yeah.
way too much.
Yeah.
This is more like getting your ducks in a row. Everyone state their business. I will be dialing into this at 3 p.m. because it is public. You guys want to listen to this, you can at 3 p.m. today. So I'm going to check it out to see if it's moving the needle.
Yeah,
but at least things are happening.
Yeah. Well, things are happening, and I think ultimately, there is again, January 15th or mid-January, as we heard, is when the CMA and the EU Commission are supposed to levy their decisions on what they're going to be doing. Now, obviously, if they're favorable at that point, the FTC is going to have to figure out either they're going to walk away from this, and I don't know if Lena Khan does, or they're going to have to put in what's called an injunction. It's going to have to then be seen in front of a federal judge, which will get this done sooner. So FTC is in a bit of hot water. I mean, they're being sued right now, as we know, for what they're being sued for is using the power that they are that they have to drag a particular case through the mud on purpose, and it is unconstitutional. And so much so that the Supreme Court saw it, picked it up, and they're going to be leveling their decision on it in the spring. And I think the FTC is going to lose again. I don't know, but I don't want to turn this into an FTC thing. They want to keep it with Hitman and keep it into gaming. But yes, at 3 p.m. today, Microsoft is going to the first pre-trial, and the judge again that is overseeing it has thrown out cases from the FTC before. So that's good news for our team Microsoft. But let's Boxenberg, again, not the biggest story of the day. IO Interactive doing something I think is pretty cool, to be honest with you. If you are a Hitman fan, having a Master Chief level like collection of all of Hitman 1, 2, and 3, which was the reboot of the series, is pretty cool, and it is in Game Pass. So if you have never played it and you want to find all your content in one spot, now you can go check it out.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, honestly, I was a little surprised because, except the rebranding or renaming of the thing, I thought it actually was already that platform, because the last time I booted it up, I remember that I had that menu already where I could choose like all the Hitmans and everything. So I wasn't really sure what the actual change is besides the name, but it tells you that they have that aspiration as to become something big in the gaming industry. They have been there for a long time.
Yep.
And with the first couple of Hitmans, they had their fan base, but they didn't really move the needle. And with Hitman 3 and what they've done after the launch and the support of it, it's massive what they did for that IP. And Game Pass helped a lot because it made the IP available to many new gamers that haven't tried the games yet. And they actually spoke about it publicly a couple of months after launch, how the Game Pass launch boosted player numbers, biggest player base they've ever had now. And with Project Dragon also in the works, I'm always excited to see what they are doing. So yeah, good stuff here. Good stuff.
Yeah, I agree. And I think what you're referring to very simply is they're self-publishing, right? So they're small. They need a backing of a publisher like Microsoft. And I can say with full authority that if they were able to become first party, and they did have the backing of Microsoft and Xbox, and they did have the power of Xbox Game Pass at their disposal, their next game, whether that be a continuation of Hitman, Project Dragon or something else, it would be massive because they would have the financial security to take risks where you can't take those kind of risks if you're a small team and a small publisher like IO Interactive. Like you're limited to your risk, and I think that'd be a big deal. I love this move, and I think ultimately I'd love to see them join Xbox Game Studios. Retri, let's get your opinion on this. Was Mr. Xbox Game Pass himself? Obviously, you heard Boxenberger confirm that IO said it was because of Xbox Game Pass they saw leaps and bounds in player base in use, and that makes sense because, well, there's 30 million subscribers. So even if you don't buy, no one's forced to buy the game. You just play the game, and if you don't like it, you just delete it. But a lot of people played games on Game Pass that never played before, and they're like, wait a second, I actually dig this. I think that what happened to IO Interactive's Hitman, and now that they've made it like the Master Chief Collection, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm a little confused by this too, because this came out in January, the 3 of them. So maybe it's just all the extras are coming with it too. But it normally would have been going out of Game Pass this month. So maybe there's an extension going on for like another year, which is very abnormal for Game Pass. So I'm one of those people, Boom, that never played Hitman. I saw the trilogy drop in January. I was like, yeah, let's try this out. My buddy really likes the game, so I tried it. So I'm gonna have to look into this one to see like what's gonna happen if it's all DLC. But I think it's great. We've gotten several games like this where we get trilogies and we get like bundled stuff in Game Pass. Same thing happened with Ninja Gaiden. And I replayed those again. So
Yakuza as well, Retri.
Yakuza, crazy amount of games, which brought a ton of people to that series because that's the power of Game Pass. It's a marketing tool that makes people play games they never would have touched and then increases future sales. So I'm excited about it. I think it's great. And I would definitely take IO Interactive in a second or Microsoft. So
it makes you wonder though, because you have a channel dedicated to Xbox Game Pass, you are quick to understand an anomaly, which is what you're saying.
This is an anomaly. This is out of the norm, 100%.
Right. So now that begs a question and potentially raises the interest fee to Speculation Town. Mm-hmm. Does that suggest that they're working closer with Microsoft to becoming acquired?
Feels like it. Definitely feels like it. Like usually when the smoke does fire.
Yeah.
We know there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes with Microsoft where they can't say boo. They can't say anything because of ABK, but does not mean those conversations are not happening. There's no doubt they're happening because you just don't stop marketing. You don't stop talking about acquisitions and future marketing deals. And I think this sounds like one of those.
It does. And again, like I said, if anyone would know, it certainly be Retri. It's his bag, so he understands the how Game Pass works. And by his account, it's supposed to be leaving, and it's not. And they just make this announcement, and is it the same product? Yes, but is it like a Master Chief Collection level? Yes, and I think that is fantastic. You talk to anybody that plays the Master Chief Collection, and they love it because it's one-stop shopping for Halo. Doing this for Hitman, I think is a big deal, and I think it's even a bigger deal that it's staying in Game Pass. To be honest with you, I think there's more to it right there. Daniel McGee, you're shaking your head, brother. What do you got on this, man? What are your thoughts on the Hitman World of Assassination staying in Game Pass at least for now? And will this help? Will this name change or this one-stop shopping for a Hitman potentially get some more players in?
I think so. Yeah, I think being able to just download one thing and have all those games there is the more likely way that people are going to stick with the series. It's the same thing as they did with like Left 4 Dead, where they put out that, I don't remember if it was a DLC or an update or whatever, where they just like stuck all the old campaigns, like the old missions in there. And then everyone was like, well, why do I need to have Left 4 Dead 1 anymore? Left 4 Dead 2 is right here, and it's got all the good stuff. So whatever. I've never really been a big Hitman person, not because I think it's bad or anything, just because I literally haven't played like I think any of them since the PS2. But I think that they're definitely a very talented studio. I mean, they're very popular. I think them keeping it all together in Game Pass like that is going to help people come to understand like this is the kind of game that they make. This is, it's just about building up that player base, and I think that that's going to really help them for when they put out that James Bond game that they're working on. Right, that's a thing. I didn't dream that.
No, that's legit. That is legit.
Right. So I could definitely see Microsoft moving to acquire them. I think that for me personally, I don't know that they would be the most exciting choice for me, just for me because I don't play those games. But they're definitely a super talented studio and they're very popular. So yeah, I could 100% see that being something that they move on. I don't see any reason why they shouldn't.
I agree. I think that again, I don't think anyone, certainly not me, saw the ABK deal happening. I would have picked out of 100 guesses, that wouldn't have been one of them, to be honest with you. I just never thought of it. So that kind of did jam up or back up a lot of Microsoft's deals with a lot of these small companies. What I'm hoping to see once this deal is done, and ultimately it's going to get done, and I think it's going to get done in 2023. I don't think it goes outside of 2023. I think that you're starting to see other world financial leaders look at this deal and say, yeah, there's just nothing here that's going to hinder competition or it's going to kill Sony. And I think the CMA and the EU ultimately will approve the deal, and then the FTC is, pardon my French, they're fucked. Sorry. You get one curse from me a show usually, and that's the one. I think that they're in big trouble. But what I'm hoping for is all of these smaller developers that are currently working with Microsoft, like the Asobos and like the IO Interactive and Avalanche Studios. I'd like to see them eventually do what they did like E3 2018 and just come up on stage and say, yeah, we're going to make an announcement. These 6 studios are now Xbox first party. And I think that's what's going to happen after the ABK deal. I think that a lot of stuff got jammed up and they can't make any moves because obviously everyone's looking at them and they don't want to look like the bad guy. But Infinite Umbra, let's get your opinion on this, brother. Good way to open up the show. Some breaking news with Hitman, World of Assassination. Is it your bag? And do you think more people are going to now maybe check it out?
Yeah, it's in my bag. I haven't played it as extensively as I would like, but I had got into it and I was a little confused when I did finally jump into it because I played it late. And it had like a bit of that hub thing going for it then. So when I jumped in, I'm like, Hitman 2? Like, what is this doing in this? And I jumped into one of them. So I was a little confused. This right here, though, the nice streamlining, how they're doing it, I think is smart. And I like how that if you're a Hitman 3 owner, it's a free upgrade. I mean, I'm always for free. That's nice. Anything like that with premium games and stuff like that is always a positive. What I'm finding interesting, and somebody actually asked it in the chat. I believe it was, let me see if I could find it. It says Mark. He asked, what about people who are playing it through Game Pass? So I'm not sure how that works. And I'm not sure how long the extension would be for it actually being on Game Pass. But I'm going to hazard a guess that if you're playing it through Game Pass, it'll probably extend to that as well. It just seems to make the most sense. Microsoft probably paid for that.
I think they have to, Umbra, because they're taking 1 and 2 out of the storefronts.
Exactly.
So I imagine it's all going to be rolled in. So
makes the most sense in my opinion. And you're welcome, Mark. But yeah, that makes the most sense in my opinion. I like it though. I like that they're doing that. I think it's smart. And it's 21 different missions and stuff all condensed into this. I think that's pretty dope. And it was funny. I was actually watching a TikTok earlier, and this guy just roaming around the way he was taking people out. I'm like, this is the John Wick simulator right here. And he was so spectacular with it. And that's the one thing I do like about it. The game is the sandbox for it is really dope from what I've seen from gameplay clips and stuff like that. I play nothing like that because when I play games like this, I tend to play like I'm in Splinter Cell or something like that. I'm very like, oh, let me be super spy, sneaky, and James Bondish. And it's so funny too, by the way, because he's the most standout person. He's just bald headed with a whole, grid tattoo in the back of your neck. I would have instantly like, hey, you look kind of different. Hey, watch out for this guy. But anyway, he'd probably kill me. But seriously, I think that's really dope how they're doing it. For those who really love the series, I think it's even better. And if you haven't had those right there, and somebody else pointed it out, they pointed out the Yakuza series, and being on Game Pass as it did really expand that for people to really get into it. I actually wanted to always play the Yakuza games, but I never did as they were on PlayStation. And I'm an achievement thought, so I needed to come over to Xbox, and when it did, I got on it heavy. So I think this is really dope right here for that reason. So I think it could draw a lot of people to it.
Side note, Yakuza's on sale right now. Every single one of them. I think they're all like $3.99.
Holy crap! Yeah.
Each one of those. Yeah. So if you haven't picked them up yet and you want to keep them after it does leave Game Pass, we don't know when that's going to happen. Right now is the time. So
usually a sale is indicative of a potential move. So yeah, $4 a game. Listen, I don't know about you folks, but here in New York. A cup of coffee is like $4 from one of the, the Starbucks. You get your venti or whatever the hell it's called, and it's $4. And you're like, I can get a whole game for that. So no, keep your coffee, give me the game. Listen, real quick before we move on to one of the bigger topics, Don Otaku, good generous friend of the program, drops a very generous and the first super chat of the day. He says Hitman Trilogy is already a part of Game Pass, and it basically has just been rebranded of the same thing to make it so you can't buy all 3 games separately. And I mean, I think, listen, that's I think it's a good. I mean, first of all, when you buy one game and you get this much content, if this is your thing, you're going to be good. There's no doubt about it. Hey, Rain G4, today is his birthday. Happy birthday, there, brother! Thanks for being here. Thanks for always supporting the channel and with your views and your comments. Hopefully you have a good birthday here. I hope if you are somewhere in the world where it's snowing, it's a good birthday. If somewhere piss and rain like it is here, not good. I like the snow. Pong don't like the snow. I love the snow. We got to change places. You got to come to New York. I got to go to Minnesota.
That sounds good. Boom. Let's go.
But listen, 460 people in the chat already, and we're only 34 minutes into the show. I really super appreciate everyone being here. Great way to start off the campaign for 12K for Double Barrel Gaming. I have set a goal. Mrs. BoomStick and I have set a goal for 15K by the end of the year. I don't know if we hit it, folks. That's 3,400 and change. I don't know if we can have that kind of a year. I'd like to believe we can, but listen, if you're new and you find the channel and you're enjoying the banter, please consider subscribing. Help us get to that 12K for the first big, the big bang, if you will, of 2023. Before we get into the next topic, I do want to make a quick announcement, though. I talked about it yesterday on the Xbox lunch break special. Obviously, we saw the video that was put out there by the team that's bringing us Stalker 2, and the video was incredible. Really. Oh, wait a second. I missed Kay Asante's super chat. See, sometimes it doesn't come up over here. Kay Asante, my humble apologies, brother. Let me just pull up my stuff over here and pull it up from YouTube, because that's weird. The software sometimes misses the mark. Okay, hold on a sec. I'm loading as we speak. Why is it taking so long? See, this is why I don't like doing stuff real time, because sometimes it sucks. All right, I will get to it momentarily, but what I want to announce, and I think it's for a small channel, it's a big deal because it's a lot of money. Obviously, the war in Ukraine it will go down in history as one of the worst atrocities that we've ever seen, and it's unbelievable that it's still going on. It's unbelievable. I mean, I know that currently Russia's running out of missiles. That's how many they fired, which is sick. So obviously the team, GCS Game World, they're bringing us. They moved from Ukraine, and they're in Brussels right now. They moved all of their family and their whole team, and they've lost several team members that stayed behind. And died in the war in Ukraine, which of course is sad. So what me and Mrs. BoomStick wanted to do is, again, this is a small channel, so we're limited to how much monies we can donate at any one time. We have said yesterday, and we'll say it again today, that we will be purchasing 10 copies of Stalker 2 and giving them away on a special Stalker 2 release podcast that we're going to do. So we've already put away $700+. It's tucked away. And when the game comes out, first 5 winners are going to be channel members. Next 5 winners will be anybody that's in the chat. And those are done through a picker. And you give me your choice of platform, PC or Xbox. We buy the game. We get you the code. And it's our way of giving back to the team that has seen so much horror in 2022. I don't know who else is doing that. As far as I know, nobody, but it's what we want to do. So yes, we will be doing a special launch podcast for Stalker 2. It is not corporate funded. This is coming out of the pockets of me and Mrs. Boomstick, and it is funded, folks, by anyone that is a channel member and super chats. We will be giving away 10 copies of Stalker 2 when we get that release date, and all the winners will have their choice of PC or Xbox, not Game Pass. We're actually going to buy the game to make sure that that team gets their money. Small thing that we're doing, something we want to do. I think it's incredibly important to give back as much as we can, and it's our first big giveaway of 2023. But with that said, let's get over to the next topic, and this is the big one. We learned last week, it started out as a rumor that Redfall internally was going to be delayed for 6 weeks. Now, of course, all of the naysayers of the interwebs said, oh, see, this is just another game that's going to suck for Xbox. It's going to get a 60 meta. I know it. And that's not, in fact, the case, folks. We're going to be doing a segue and rolling right into the Starfield conversation, because I don't think that Redfall was delayed due to the game's how good the game was going to be. If anyone has seen some of the videos they've put out, that game looks incredibly done. I mean, they have shown 4-player co-op. They have shown people dropping in, dropping out. They've shown them using their powers or their magic, whatever you want to call it. And that game looks polished as F. I still think that game could have come out in 2022, but for whatever reason, it was delayed, and so be it. I think that what we're potentially seeing here is it moving out of the way for something else. But Retri, I'll go to you first on this. Redfall is a new IP. It's one of those games that is slated for the first 6 months of this year. A 6-week delay, May, is what people are seeing. I mean, even Clobriel heard that it's May. And if Clobriel is talking about it, if Jez Corden is talking about it, it's fine. And again, I know some people in the chat like, how could you delay a game that didn't have a date? I mean, it's not. I mean, is it quote unquote a delay, or is it just a postponement? Whatever terminology you want to use, it's coming out 6 weeks later than it was originally supposed to. Retri, is this a big deal for Redfall?
No.
Yeah, quite simple. Yeah, I agree.
I'm done. No, I don't think it's a big deal. Can I go into why we think that might be happening, or are we just talking about Redfall by itself?
Let's keep moving to Redfall, and then we're going to come back around and in same order and bring it around. I mean, like we were talking in the green room. You like myself believe that this game is polished AF.
Yeah, I think it's 100. I think it's done right now.
Yeah,
I think it looks so polished. It's looked polished for a long time now. So it looks ready to release. It's just getting pushed to the side, and we'll talk about that. But I don't think it's a big deal. I am highly anticipating this game. It was one of my top 3 for next year. I'm not even an Arkane fan either, so I'm hoping this game
their
will kind
games
of
have been
break
with
the
me.
mold.
With me, it's
very hit and miss with me as well. I'm thinking this is the one for me, so I'm excited. There's so much coming, and if you watch my videos, you would know anything getting delayed, it's not a big deal. I just did a video, 44 games already pretty much confirmed for Game Pass. It's gonna be insane. My backlog is already hurting like crazy. Next
My backlog is ridiculous.
Really bad.
It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, and it's not gonna get any better. So 6 weeks, that's nothing. that's not a big deal in my book. So it's a nothing burger.
Yeah, I agree. I absolutely agree. Listen, real quick before I get to the other panel members, Drawn TJ drops a super chat. The first one of the day, as a matter of fact, says, "Hello, everyone. The ABK will go through after dropping a very generous $5 super chat." Chris Jones drops a $2 super chat and says, "The golden age of gaming." I don't know who says that. Who says that? Oh, that's right. Pong Soul says that almost every week on pretty much every show that he's on. So thank you so much for the generosity, Chris. Honorable Merc, who has just become a channel member, and he drops a $5 super chat on top of it. And he says, "Boom, your generosity is an inspiration." That's very kind of you to say. Thank you. Here's something to help you along the way. P.S. Stalker 2 looks amazing. Yeah, Stalker 2 looks dope. And I am really, again, this is not a console war thing, folks. Please don't take it as such. But I love the fact that the developer themselves said they don't plan on doing anything on the PlayStation 5, at least not now. And I think ultimately this is a team that joins Xbox. This is one of those teams that is going to be announced as first party, and Stalker 2 will never show up on a PlayStation. And I'm sorry to say, with the way PlayStation is behaving, with all of that information coming out like 2 weeks ago about all of these Square games never coming to Xbox, and of course now confirmed by multiple sources that Silent Hill 2 remake never coming to an Xbox. I'm sorry. Microsoft needs to fight fire with fire. This is one of those instances where you say, you know what? I'm going to drop the bag. We're a $1 trillion company. We can afford to fund this team and make them first party. You know what? Stalker 2 staying on Xbox and PC. And that's where it should stay. Sorry. If you count as that me being a console war D-bag, then so be it. But I'm just sorry. I just don't think that it should not. What annoys me about the world that we currently have in front of us, the gaming world. The world annoys me for a lot of things, but the gaming world is, it's set to default PlayStation 5, and I don't like that. I think when we were going to talk about it, System Shock, the remake, like a full on remake. It wasn't announced for PlayStation 5. I even quoted on that. I was like, wow, that's shocking. And of course, I meant the pun intended that it wasn't announced for PS5. Now, will that change potentially? I don't know. But I don't like the fact that everything that comes out is default PS5 and Xbox is an asterisk. That annoys me as someone that has Xbox as his main platform. I'm sorry. But Pong Soul, let's get your opinion on this. Redfall, you're a multiplayer dude, but you're a grazer. Now, with you, if a multiplayer hits, that's you, that's Mav, that's Steel. That's a bunch of people getting down on a Friday night after the show, playing for hours, maybe having a couple of drinks and having a good time. 6-week delay or postponement, whatever you want it, for May. Does May seem like the right spot for a game like this?
Yeah, it does actually. I think this is that type of game that drops into Game Pass. And again, we should all remember, and I think this is the thing about Redfall that kind of gets pushed to the side. The developers themselves, again, Arkane, one of my favorite developers. I know you guys are either hit or miss, you and Retry, but for me, I love what Arkane does. They built Redfall from the ground up as a single player experience and then added the co-op. So they have talked about that in interviews, how Redfall is still at its heart a classic Arkane single player experience. And they wanted to make sure that if you were going to go into it alone, that you would feel like, hey, I'm playing an Arkane game. As I remember them, right? As we've played previously. So I think that's an important part of this, but I think May is a great spot. Had this delay been outside of the 12-month window that Xbox gave us at the showcase, that would be a story. That would be something.
Yeah, that'd be a problem, about, right? Sure, I agree.
Right, exactly. But since it's just 6 weeks, and we've Retry hinted at it. You hinted at it, Boom, that there could be a possible reason for this move out, not because of the game, not because the game needs more polishing or they found a bug or something, whatever the case may be. But this could just be a timing move for Xbox internally when they're looking at their roadmap for these first 6 months.
You don't get into that, brother, and I can't wait. Exactly. I'm glad that you're here. You're here at the perfect time, by the way.
Right, exactly. So from this standpoint, no, I don't think this is a big deal whatsoever. I think May is a great time. slot for it. It is a game that you're going to be able to drop in, drop out. If you got buddies online, great.
Yeah.
Hook up with buddies, go play. If you're sitting there and you got nothing, you want to change pace, you hop into Redfall by yourself, make some progress, get some loot. I think this is that perfect game that kind of just sits in Game Pass, and a ton of people play it. And sometimes I think personally that this game is probably bigger than a lot of people are thinking it is.
Yeah.
I think this game is going to have a lot of replayability. And I think Arkane has yet to review all of the different mechanics involved in this game. So I can't wait to see it. But like Retry said, this game has been polished for a long time. I thought this game was probably ready closer to the end of this year, or 2022, I should say, than moving it to 2023. But obviously they decided to move it. So I think it's going to be ready to rock and roll. And those 6 weeks are no big deal to me.
Yeah, you know what? 6 weeks is it's like, for some people it's like a nap. You go to sleep and you got 6 weeks up, but let's go. I think what's coming before that 6 weeks though is going to give people are going to be like, maybe you come out 8 weeks or 12 weeks. We're going to get into that momentarily. Real quick, Brett Bingham drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, the war in Ukraine is giving me flashbacks to when I was a kid watching TV coverage of the Bosnian War in the 90s. Yeah, dude. Yeah, it's I as bad as that was, this is 10 times worse because so many civilians have died, and Russia just continues to destroy that country. I mean, everywhere you look, it's just rubble. I don't know how they come back from this. I'm going to be honest with you, but got to support those people, and Double Barrel Gaming is going to do that. It's going to support that team that had their lives uprooted by this horrendous war. Don666, Don, what's up, brother? He drops a very generous £5 super chat. Say, Boom, love the idea of giving some money to the GSC team. Keep up your good work. Well, thank you. It's very kind of you to say. And again, this is a small channel. I wish we could do more, but when a new year starts, Mrs. BoomStick and I brainstorm on what we can do. Now we're going to have big giveaways. We're going to give gift cards away and stuff like that, but when obviously the story with the war in Ukraine, it's hurtful to watch. And then of course the trailer popped on, and I was like, wow, that game looks so good. Now Mrs. Boom doesn't play those games, but she's the one that thinks a lot of times outside the box. And we sat and we said, what could we do? What could we do to give back, to make sure that people know that we want to help? And we came up with the idea that 10 copies, it's going to cost us over $700 because I'm buying the copies, and I'm not buying them from some dude named Ted off the interwebs. I'm going to go to GameStop and I'm just going to buy them, paid whatever it is. If they're $76.43 with tax, that's what they're going to cost, and it's going to cost us almost $800. But that's something that we want to do. We love giving back, regardless of the size of our channel. And I hope I see that with a lot of bigger channels. I mean, again, I'm not doing it. We don't do these things for clout. We don't do that because we want you to pat us on the ass. It's not what we do. Your views, your likes, your comments, the very generous super chats, that's more than enough, more than to be honest with you. But it's just our way of giving back. And I appreciate all the super chats, all the very kind words. But Boxenberger, let's get your opinion on this. May is being confirmed by a lot of people that you and I both trust. Klobrille being one of them. As you said, that is German for toilet, which I never knew.
Toilet seat.
My God. He did say he heard internally, and I do like Klobrille quite a bit, that it is they picked May. We're going to get into why in a second, but is May a good date for this game?
Oh, definitely. It kind of depends, honestly, where the other games will land. I mean, if they all squeeze like Forza and Starfield in May and June to hit that 12-mark window, then it's not a good date, obviously. But I don't think that's going to happen. We're going to get into that in a second. In general, Boom, I think we have to ask ourselves, or Xbox has to ask themselves, we just speculate here on the podcast, but Xbox has to ask themselves where to put which game, because their pipeline is almost bursting with games.
Yeah.
And so what is Redfall? Redfall is not a game for the casual gamer. I'm just gonna come out and say that right out of the gate. And you might disagree with me, but hear me. Redfall is that game from Arkane, and they are very beloved by their fan base. But is that the casual gamer fan base? I think it's more in like the hardcore gaming community, where people like games like Prey and Deathloop and Dishonored and stuff like that. So obviously, Redfall is going to be their biggest game yet, and with co-op, it has certain elements that appeals a lot more to the masses, and I do hope that it will be their breakthrough to success. But as it stands, Arkane has always been very unique, and I truly do like them. Their first miss, in my opinion, was actually Deathloop. I really liked all the other games from them. The thing is, to whom do they appeal? I think it's more for the gaming community, the gamers that have already subscribed to Game Pass, that are already customers in that ecosystem. And they play games in May and June or over the summer. So that makes May a good spot for Redfall. Starfield appeals way more to the masses. Yeah, the makers of Skyrim, God Howard. Yeah, the makers of Skyrim with their first brand new IP in 25 years. It's different. And when do you put the games for the more broader, wider gaming audience? You put them at the beginning of the year or at the end of the year? So since I have the feeling that Starfield isn't that far out, I feel, May makes sense. And it's not just Globrille that has actually come out and talked about that date. It's also like Jess Corden talked about that on the Xbox Factor podcast. Xbox Factor on the Xbox 2 podcast. And of course, with Randall 4, which, by the way, we will shameless plug here. We will have Rand this Thursday on our show to talk about the entire year and what's coming beyond 23 from Xbox. So it's going to be an awesome show. Anyways, they have speculated about it. Cold has speculated about it. Dealer has speculated about it. And a lot of people, and Tim Dog apparently also heard something. So I feel like there is a certain plan there. So, and given the scope and of Redfall and what Redfall tries to be and from which studio it comes from, I feel like it definitely would make sense for them to put it in a May or even a June. June would also be working for Redfall. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Cannot wait to see that Left 4 Dead meets Borderlands game from Arkane. It's going to be exciting, man.
Yeah, I'm going to say this is going to be an unpopular opinion. I did not like Deathloop at all.
I didn't either.
Me neither. I really like Arkane games.
I gotta be honest with you. I know. Listen, if you want to boo me, it's boo me in the chat. It's fine. Throw a lot of boos up there. I'm sorry. I tried. I played it on the PlayStation 5. I bought it when it came out because I wanted to play the game. And it came on Xbox. I was like, yeah, I'm going to start this game over. I started with the female, and I played about 2 hours. Like, you know what? I played with the female enough. She's a great character. Let me play with the dude. And I started going back and forth, and it didn't click with me. I don't know what it was. I tried. I put about 6 or 7 hours between the PS5 and both characters on the Series X, and it didn't click, folks. I see K-Sante boo this man, which, by the way, K-Sante didn't show up. I went into YouTube. I didn't see it. So just throw your comment up there, and I will read it. But yeah, it didn't click with me. I hope Redfall does. But Daniel, obviously May seems like that's the locked-in date of this game. I don't know how much more polishing they can do. I thought the game looked phenomenal. I mean, it looks so good. And I love the fact that Pong Soul put it out there that, yes, this is going to be for a single-player dude. Like me, I'm a single-player guy. I like multiplayer, but I don't always like multiplayer. I like sometimes just to sit with my headphones on, in the dark, playing the game and enjoying myself. So the fact that we're getting both sides of this coin for this game is great. But for you, is May a good date?
I think May is perfectly fine. I'm in the camp of, if you delay a game from one date I don't know to another date I don't know, that it doesn't really make a difference to me.
Exactly.
Like if I don't know what's happening, then ignorance is bliss, I guess. Like there's very little for me to be upset about, because first of all, I guess we don't even know if this is 100% true, and we probably never will, because it's like this is just internal stuff that's happening behind the scenes, and it's like maybe they thought they would hit this date, but then they really didn't. Maybe they were moving out of the way of something else. God knows the first half of this year is full of like 40 games, so there's any number of reasons for them to move the game. But yeah, no, I think May's perfectly fine. If I'm being honest with you, I think Redfall is of the 3 games that we know are coming out first party from Xbox next year, being that, Forza, and Starfield. I think Redfall is the one that needs to be most careful of when it comes out, because Starfield will
I agree.
Whatever area it's in. Forza is a racing game that has very little competition. People who play racing games are going to play.
It's funny. To your point, Daniel, Cloud Giant in the chat just says Redfall is coming out the same time around Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. Not a good date.
That's a good point. But that's the problem. And I want to, if I may, Daniel, I might want to add something. Xbox also has to very carefully look this year, where do the third parties come out? Because we have like every month 2 to 3 major AAA third party games. We have Diablo coming in June.
Hogwarts.
We have Jedi Fallen Hogwarts. You don't want to put a Redfall against a Hogwarts.
A crazy year for gaming.
The other one too, Boxenberger and Daniel, is that Dark
Tide.
Warhammer Dark Tide. Got pushed, and so they could have been careful of that too if they know a rough idea of when that's coming out as well, because that's going to be a similar game. Even though I said that Arkane said they built it from the ground up as a single player, people are still going to look at those two and say, "Oh, they're both co-op shooters."
Yeah, absolutely,
right?
for sure. It's just,
and I feel like Redfall again. It caters more to the hardcore audience, and they don't care if Zelda comes out because they will play both. But the more casual audience, they will choose in between a Starfield or a Zelda. So yeah, it makes sense. Whoever said it in the chat, sorry, I forgot your name. But that's definitely something Xbox has to look out for. Which games do they go up against?
Yeah. I mean, I think
Kay said, talk to Guerrilla Games about how it feels to go against Zelda.
I think especially because it's like a new IP, and so many of the games that are coming out this year, the bigger ones like Hogwarts and all these other things, are IP and franchises that people recognize and have a lot of cachet in already. I think Redfall is going to have a tough time breaking out between them if they don't pick a good date. And them being in Game Pass is, of course, going to help that, because it's going to put the viewership up, which is going to, word of mouth is the best form of advertisement. We saw that with High on Life. We've seen it with Pentiment. I don't know that either of those 2 games would have done as well as they would have if they weren't, or as well as they did if they weren't in Game Pass, in terms of numbers. And so I think Redfall, especially being that it's a multiplayer game, is going to get a big bonus out of that. But if it comes out like the same week as like Zelda or Hogwarts, I think it's just going to get buried, at least for the immediate time that it comes out. Maybe it'll pick up later, but I think they need to be more careful with it. And maybe they're looking at, hey, the first half of 2023 looks crazy. Maybe we should move this a little further along.
I mean, listen, I think the advantage for Xbox is Game Pass. I've said this before. I said that is the magic exclusive pill, that they get a game in there, whether it be multi-plat or their own games, for exclusives. I think there's a lot to be said about, especially now, and we're as again, we're only into the 3rd day of the year. It is expected that the full effects of the recession that we're currently in are going to be felt for this year. I hope that's not in fact the case. I mean, I talked about it yesterday, and I love to bring real life into the conversation. Right down the block, folks, at the Met, $9 for a carton of eggs. Think about that for a second. $9 freaking for eggs. So
some exquisite chickens.
Yeah. Imagine what you had to pay for the chickens. Yeah. So I mean, but listen, Umbra, let's get your opinion on this, brother. May, do you feel it's a good date for Starfield? I mean, obviously, there's a lot of games coming out. I think it's a new IP. I think it's Arkane. I think it's in Game Pass. I think there's a lot of check marks over here. What do you feel about it?
Yeah, if it was Starfield, yeah. But no, I know you meant Redfall.
Oh, yeah.
Why do we always, it's not just you. We all do it. Like, I talk about it, and I'm like, Starfield meaning Redfall. But no, I was going to say, I'm not too sure how that will work out. I'm sure it'll work out fine. I know people were saying, like, oh, with Zelda. Zelda, I don't think is going to affect anything on Xbox. Zelda is going to sell like, hotcakes. It's going to do well, obviously.
Right.
But I don't think it matters so much on the Xbox side of things. I don't think it's going to stop any of us from playing Redfall. The problem I have with it, and I like the idea that there's a theory floating around that they'll be in early access in, I believe, April. They're saying.
Like a demo of some sorts.
Yeah, and that's cool. My thing is this, and you all kind of touched on it a few times where you pointed out other games releasing, and that's where it gets murky for me, because now then, where does Starfield fit into that? And if Diablo is hitting in June, how do you put Starfield in March? And then if that's in March, how then does the other games like Resident Evil 4 and Hogwarts, how does that all factor in? Because that's going to be problematic more so for anything because of all those other games. And I pointed it out.
I think all of those games are gonna line up and do this and bow to Starfield, because I think that's gonna be the biggest game of 2023. But
yeah, and I mentioned it earlier. Somebody was actually, I forgot who mentioned it in a chat, but I think it was Bellaton. He said he mentioned that that's going to be it for him once that hits, and that's kind of me.
It's going to be a life stealer.
Yeah. Exactly. Yep. And my backlog, like you all pointed out, is ridiculous. I'm talking about to the 360 era. So that on top of trying to play these newer games that's releasing this year, that's going to be tough. Like, that's a tough schedule right there ahead for us. It's a good problem to have. I just don't know how this is all going to pan out. I think Redfall is going to be less of it's not going to be as an extensive game, obviously, compared to some of those, but I just don't know how it'll pan out. I mean, it's probably something we'll kind of have to rush through in a way, I'm imagining. And I do like the idea that, the single player and drop in, drop out multiplayer situation. I like that. I've liked it ever since they brought that up. I'm not upset by the delay to May. That's nothing. 6 weeks. It's like Retry said, it's a nothing burger. Not to be confused with our good brother Boxing Burger. It is. It's not anything really. It's no big deal. I just don't know how it'll work and figure out in the whole situation. Considering all the other releases, that's the only thing I'm worried about for it. And a lot of people pointed out that Arkane games seem to kind of get shaded by other games in a way when they release. So I don't want that to be the case for this too. And just to say, I might get booed for this too. I wasn't feeling Deathloop either.
Dude, you're one of many on this panel, brother. One of many. I mean, it's just, it didn't hit. But yeah, no, I agree with you. I don't know. This year is going to be challenging for gamers across all platforms for a multitude of reasons. First, the most important thing is finance. Games that are not going into any kind of a service, i.e. Game Pass, you're going to have to buy, which, again, that's why I ask specifically in the holidays for gift cards. I have a ton of them, and I save them for the games like Hogwarts that are not coming in, games like Resident Evil 4, games like, the Silent Hill 2 remake, if that's dropping this year. Whatever is not going to be. I buy games. I still buy a ton of games because I got to talk about them and I got to play them. So I will buy them. I think the first thing is finance for a lot of people, because money is available, but it just doesn't go as far as it used to go. So we have to make decisions. But I think the second and just as important is time. How much time do you have? I'm retired, folks. And yes, I do stream 5 days a week, but they're only 2-hour shows at the most. And yeah, I do spend some time, at night. I work at night for writing because it's my Zen space. I can do all my artwork and I don't get disturbed by anybody, and it's great. But I still have the rest of the day, and even with the rest of the day, I don't have the time to play as many games. My backlog for 2022 has creeped into 2023, and it's a stout, ridiculous list of games. I think I might beat 5 games last year, and that's unheard of for me. It's just too many games. So I mean, listen, not the biggest problems to have, I'll tell you that. But let me catch up with some of the super chats, and then we will move on to the big topic of the show. A Highlander 001 drops not 1 but 2 $5 super chats. And the first one, he says this: in 2023, ponies We'll have to come up with a new insult besides Xbox has no games. If they were being honest, they would say Xbox has too many games. I think that's a fact. Gerald Mack, good friend, brother of the channel, he drops a very generous $2 super chat and says Xbox World Order hashtag Xbox XWO. Yeah, I like that. I love the I love the New Order from back in the 90s. That's my favorite wrestling ever. And I went to WrestleMania 1 in person as a kid. It was amazing. Highlander #1 drops another $5 super chat and says, and this is pretty bad. Well, it's good. Sending positive thoughts to Hoglaw, of course. And I don't know if anyone knows the gentleman on Twitter. His name is Post Up. Apparently, Post Up had to be rushed to the hospital. Sending positive thoughts to both him and Damar Hamlin. Yeah, Damar Hamlin is the safety from Buffalo. The Bills that collapsed on the field after making a tackle. I watched that. I was in awe. Like talking about it just gives me like he had to be resuscitated. They used the AED. If you don't know what that is, that's the machine that shocks your heart. Well, they brought him back.
It's like a defibrillator.
Yeah, it's a defibrillator. Yeah, so they brought him back, and thankfully he's there's not been any updates, but he didn't die. But he's a kid. He's only 24 years old.
Way too young.
He's a really good kid too. Like he does so much for the community. You hate to see it. It just like the way he just got up and he just fell over. I've never seen anything like it.
That's
I've
scary.
just never. It's very scary, terrifying.
For Post Up, I just want to say, I mean, it's my fellow Chicagoan right there. Want to give love to him.
Good dude.
This year is not starting out well. People's illness is really punching us in the balls, and I don't like it. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Illnesses and deaths has been kind of fast coming at us.
It all started with Pope. The Pope passed away before the new year, and it's been a down. It's
Barbara Walters,
Barbara Walters too, 93. It's just not been a good year. Don't like it. Highlander #1 drops an additional $2 super chat. For all that's holy, hit the like button. That's very kind of you. We're almost at 600 people, which is that I got to tell you, folks. When I see that, it warms my heart because I do put, Mrs. Boom and I put our heart and soul into this channel. And when we see this many people come in and are hanging out, it is more humbling than you could possibly imagine. We have a new channel member. Joe Dunmore, he has rejoined. Joe, thank you so much for being here, brother, and always supporting the channel. And we also have now, let me see, Parasite, 82 Green drops a very generous £9 super chat and says, Happy New Year to Boom and crew. I have a feeling this year, Xbox will smash it. Personally, I will not be disappointed as if we get Starfield, a new MK, Killer Instinct, and a Wu-Tang Clan RPG reveal. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Holy crap. That is pretty cool. I'd love some sort of Killer Instinct announcement. I don't know if I'm going to get my wish, but thank you so much for the super chat, bro. Definitely appreciate that. Folks, you've been waiting long enough. We're an hour and 9 minutes into this, and I'm going right to Pong. So, Pong, I put on a number on my thumbnail that I made. Are you going to start seeing that? I started doing some different things with the thumbnails. They're motion activated or whatever they call it. I'm using video in the background. I learned some new tricks to bring into 2023, and I had people like, "Oh my God, Boom's got gameplay from Starfield." I love Todd Howard, and I know who he is. He doesn't know who I am, so that is not actual footage. I did find some footage that looked close to it, and I put it in there, and then, there you go. I put a date of 3/23/23, Pong. You and I have gone to Speculation Town, where in my side of town, it's 30, about 29 degrees. It's a blizzard. For you, it's 70 and sunny. Listen, tomatoes, right? Whatever. But we have, for some time, suspected that once the delay came for the 11/11 2022, that there was a chance that we could get Starfield. We knew it was coming in the first 6 months. What we didn't suspect is that it would be out in the first 3 months of the year. March is what the rumor and the talk is. Now, we said it before. We started getting into Redfall. Redfall was moved out of the way. And I'm saying this not because I know. I'm just saying for gut feeling. I feel it in my belly. That it was moved out of the way for Starfield. Yeah. And I think that we are potentially going to see, folks, an atypical Todd Howard reveal, as he has done time and time again. He's going to come up on stage in his dope leather jacket, and he's going to say, you know, the journey for Starfield has been long. It's something I've been working on for over a decade, and we're finally ready to deliver. Here is gameplay from it, and he's going to show us on maybe a 6 or 8 minute gameplay clip that has been done by the team over at Bethesda. And when he's done, he's going to announce the date. And he is very, very, he loves weird dates. That's his thing. That's a Todd Howard thing. And he's also known for Pong, as you know, that he loves putting on a show, getting up there, being excited like everyone else, and giving a release date that's usually a couple of months from what he's talking about. Is that what is, again, what are we talking about? Well, there's supposed to be a January Xbox event. Now, that hasn't been confirmed, but we heard it on the Xbox 2 podcast. We've heard it from different people in the community that we trust. That's happening. We just don't know when in January it's happening. And it kind of tracks, Pong. It kind of tracks. Yeah. He does this event in January, and he gives us a March date, and the world cracks open. What are your thoughts, brother?
Well. First of all, let me address this. Starfield and any Todd Howard Bethesda game doesn't have to look out for any other games in this industry. Okay?
Yep,
Number one, people forget because we don't get them very often, and because people have done this whole Fallout 76 thing where that's, you know, Todd's last game. Yes, he put his name on it, but it wasn't his A team. People forget the Fallout 3 launches, the Skyrim launches, the Fallout 4 launches. They forget how big they are. Like, the world stops when a new Bethesda title comes out. And of course, I don't mean that literally. I don't mean that in the same kind of tone as Call of Duties, that kind of thing. But Bethesda games are huge. And so Starfield, everybody else has got to watch out for Starfield. I'm sure Hogwarts Legacy, that team over WB, doesn't want Starfield drop anywhere near them, okay? Because Starfield has that kind of impact on the gaming world. I think this makes total sense, and I got to shout out my brother from another Steel Rain. He's been on the 3/23/23 date since day one when we first got the delay and we were started going through the dates. He settled on that date right away. We were naming it off because, again, Todd does like his weird dates, so we were going through the entire calendar trying to find it, but he's been all over the 3/23/23. I think it's a perfect time. I think it makes total sense with Redfall moving. I would like to think that is the exact reason why Redfall's out of the way. I think they were kind of waiting to see if the game was going to be done. They wanted to give Todd and his team as much time as they needed. If it was up to Todd, it would drop and he would come out and announce it the day it was dropping, right? That's the way Todd likes to do things. He doesn't give out preview copies to reviewers ahead of time. And that's going to be the same here with Starfield. But in terms of marketing, in terms of what Xbox has to showcase, Todd understands that there is a part of that as well. So if we are going to get a showcase, some type of XO event, whatever you want to say it's going to be, end of January, beginning of February, the March date for Starfield, to be able to come out and say, look, we're ready. We're ready. Here's the date. Like you said, show off some more gameplay, maybe run us through a mission, whatever the case may be. This is perfect timing to do that. And I think that this is going to line up with exactly how Todd likes to do things, how Xbox wants to present Starfield, if it is ready. And I got to shout out Colt Eastwood last night on XNC, him and Gaz. Colt talked about this last night, and he insinuated that there are people out there, multiple people, not a huge group, but multiple people that have a final build of Starfield in their hands and are currently playing it. Okay, if that's the case, then this is all polishing. As we heard Todd say, they were already in the polishing phase. And I think it's ready. I think this is the way you want to start 2023 after coming off of what happened in 2022 with first party. You erase all of that. Again, gamers have the shortest memories out of any human beings. We all have short memories, but gamers do. You come out, you present, you have this show, end of January, beginning of February, and you showcase Starfield as one of those games, and you give us that release date in March, 2022 is forgotten. Okay, 2022 is forgotten. Not for everybody. Again, Starfield's not everybody's cup of tea. I get that. But for most gamers, that's going to be huge. And then you have it hit in March, and you start the year off with a high 80s, low 90s. Of course, I'm expecting 90s because that's what Bethesda games always do. Type game. And all of a sudden, 2022 is forgotten. Now the avalanche has started. And you started the avalanche with one of your biggest, most impressive first-party titles now in Starfield, and you showcase why you went out and bought ZeniMax and why Bethesda and Todd Howard is considered, one of the best out there. That starts 2023 with a bang, and then everything else just falls in line with Redfall. Motorsport, we're still unsure of. Again, that we'll see about that one. But again, no matter what, you've started the year off right, on top of everything dropping into Game Pass starting this month with Personas, etc. And you got Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition. Again, not everybody's, that's a niche, but it's still big. And then you've got Monster Hunter Rise coming in. You got Atomic Heart. You got all these games coming in.
So many, dude, it's ridiculous.
It's sick. It's sick right now how many games we're going to have in this first 6 months. But Starfield is your crowning jewel, right? Starfield is 100%. What people have been waiting for. It has the potential to be that genre-defining game. It has that potential to be that generational type game. And Colt said last night from who he's talked to, the people that he's talked to in the past have been pessimistic about other big games like Cyberpunk. They've told him, hey, cool your hype about Cyberpunk. There's some issues. These people are truth tellers from what he was saying last night. And they said from the people in the know that Starfield is bigger and better than even what they thought it was going to be. So if that's the case, if that turns out to be all true and not hyperbole, then you're talking about just killing it from the start this year in 2023 and having that game that everybody continuously talks about. We can talk about the Zeldas, we can talk about the Spider-Man 2s, we can talk about all that. But Starfield is that game that continues to live on no matter what. And it becomes that water cooler topic. If you are playing Starfield, it is what you are talking about, right? That is the game that you're talking about. And it's something that you continuously go back to and continue to play. And it's going to be in people's minds. Streamers are going to go nuts with this because there's always something to do. Well,
the fact that there's procedurally generated planets, Hong, you may find a weapon or a piece of armor or even a planet, and you're gonna yo, boom, you're not gonna believe what I just found. I found this. I'm like, what? Where? And I'm like, well, it's the galaxy. Good luck.
That's the stories that Bethesda games give you. That's that sandbox RPG that you just don't get anywhere. We saw the power of that type of gameplay with Elden Ring. Right? We saw it again. I said, as a non-Souls fan who did get into Elden Ring and put 50, 60 hours into it, didn't beat it. Of course, I'm a grazer. But Elden Ring has that same kind of exploration where you just set a point, you go off, and you find something that nobody else has found yet. We'll take that and times that by 1,000 when it comes to Starfield and Bethesda games, because now we have all these planets to explore on top of the normal exploration that we have. You're talking about the ability to have people find stuff that nobody else did, Boom. And everybody's story is different. It's like a fingerprint when you play a Bethesda title. You can be doing one thing and another person could be completely doing the opposite, and you'll never have two experiences that are the same. Yes. That's what these games give you, and that's what Starfield is going to start this year with. Again, obviously, I'm a Bethesda fan. I'm a Todd Howard fan. All praise God Howard. Right, at the end of the day. But I think this game, being in Game Pass, yes, there's a certain select group of gamers who maybe only play on Nintendo or only play on PlayStation that won't have access to this game right now, right? At all. But they're going to be hearing about this game non-stop from people. And I think this is the way you want to do it. And so, yes, I'm all on board now that they moved Redfall to clear up the roadmap, knowing that Starfield was ready. Todd and his team must have, according to Tim Dog, they did hit a benchmark at some point. They hit one of the prime points they needed to. If that's all true, then this is the reason why they moved Redfall, was because Starfield is ready to rock and roll. And I do think the March date fits perfectly in there. Me selfishly, the June date would have been fine, but I'm selfishly, because Diablo 4 launches June 6th. I don't want to have. I need months of Starfield before I can even think about playing another game.
Right.
And Diablo 4 being my second most hyped game of this year, next to Starfield, I was selfishly praying that the gaming gods would answer my call, that Starfield would be ready early this year to give me at least a couple months into Starfield before I even think about going to another game. So I can't wait for this, Boom. I think we're going to get a big show, and I think it's going to be fun, and I think Starfield is going to be that crowning jewel, that diamond that they show off.
You know what's crazy this year? You know, we talk about PlayStation had a banner year last year in 2022. Nintendo had a great year as well. Their first party just was amazing. But if you think about all the things that are going to potentially be happening in 2022 for Xbox, it's crazy. Starfield comes out, Motorsport comes out. They closed the ABK deal. They announced a bunch of other studios that are joining XGS. The games, hitting all their games, their first party games, potentially hitting 90 metas. It's going to be a banner year. But before I let you go, Pong, is that the SDF one behind you on the shelf there, sir?
Yes, it is, sir.
You see, and only old bastards like us would know what the SDF. If you're a Robotech fan, if you're a Maycross fan from back in the 80s, which of course I'm old. Good on you, Pong. I had that is
an original. Yep, that is an original. So,
and I see Voltron on the left.
Oh yeah, of course.
And there you go. So there you go. That's right. It's good to be old, folks, because we've experienced things.
We had some of the best. Yep, we had some of the best back then.
I don't see Optimus Prime back there. You failed, in my opinion.
Oh, geez. I sold a lot of my Gen 1. My Gen 1, I've been selling them off, but I do have. Hey, here you go, Umbra.
Oh, come on.
Nice.
Jetfire, Gen 1.
You cannot deny Jetfire. And you know something that's crazy? That Jetfire there was a Macross edition of him for
they absolutely stole him from Robotech.
100% stole him. No doubt about that. Boxenberger, let's get your opinion on this, brother. Listen, there are a lot of big games. He said it. We know that our time is limited, our money is limited, but the truth of the matter is, and I have to agree with Pong here, everyone's got to get out of the way of Starfield. It is a Bethesda game. It is the first game, first new IP in 20 plus years. 3/23/23. Does that sound perfect to you? Someone put in the chat, and I don't have them here. I'm sorry if I forgot who they said. It happens to be a Friday, which is a perfect day to launch a game that big. So you have the whole weekend. Some people are saying, please give me a little notice so I can put in for some vacation time. A lot of people taking vacation around that. What are your thoughts? 3/23/23.
It sounds fantastic, man. It sounds fantastic. I mean, I've been thinking about this lately. Obviously, at some point, we all had in mind like Redfall is going to be the big first game of the first party games that's going to come out. We have Starfield, Forza, Redfall. So, which is going to come out. We probably all thought it's going to be Redfall because it looked really polished. But then Bethesda, Todd Howard announced very confidently the 11/11/2022 title. And I have no doubt that when they announced that date, that they had the absolute firm belief they're gonna hit that date. So obviously Bethesda is known as Bugfesta, and I don't think that Xbox can and wants those typical Bethesda bugs in that game. They have to come out with Starfield big time. So they wanted to give them a little extra time. But how much extra time do you actually need to do a bit more bug fixing that they have usually done? If it would come out, let's assume they still aim for the 6-month window, and they for the 12-month window that they put out in June. That and they have confirmed that, I think yesterday it was, when they put up the official Starfield support website, where they actually put on the website, it's still targeting the first half of 23. So they still try to aim for that release. Now, if we look at that 12-month window, when do you put it? If you put it in June, that would give Bethesda 8 months compared to the OG date. Extra polish time. That kind of sounds a lot to me. So just to fix out a little bit more bugs than they usually did before they released their games. So is it that, or is it more around, let's say, March? Yeah, that March day where we have like what 3-4 extra months, 5. That sounds actually a lot more realistic to me. And then again, when you look at where to put which game in the first half, like Redfall in February or March, those 2 months are bananas with like the biggest releases you can think of, like Jedi Fallen Order, Hogwarts Legacy is gonna come out, Resident Evil, all those games gonna come out. The only game that can compete against those is actually Starfield. So it would absolutely make sense to put a Starfield in there. They had then in March, they had like 5 months extra polish time, bug fix Bethesda game, and then come out with Redfall in May and Forza probably June, or even push that in the second half of 23. I feel like that's what they are aiming for. That early in the year release window, February and March, has become like very, very popular for the biggest games. Elden Ring last year, came out. Sony put their Horizon Forbidden West in that window. We have all these bigger games, Dying Light 2, Tiny Tina's Wonderland, all use that February-March window, and it is super popular. So, yeah, I feel that is or does make a lot of sense. And it will be really interesting to see if they can do it in that window. Because there is one other thing, and I want to shout out Wandering Dutch for this opinion, because he has said on our show one thing. We all have to keep in mind that Starfield is not just an Xbox game. Starfield is the Xbox game. It's the biggest release they have had in probably, I want to say, at least 10 years, if not ever, honestly. If you think about this, I know Halo is big. I know Gears is big. Forza is a racing game. It's beloved by Xbox fans, but every platform has kind of their racing games, and there are a lot of third-party racing games. So which Xbox first-party title has had the same punch like a Starfield? I really can't think of one.
It's been quite a bit, dude. It's I mean, the last time there was a fever's pitch, it was, and again, I'm sure there's others. Halo 3 was the last thing that
Halo 3
news reported on.
That is definitely a big launch, and it's so you get my point. It's like at least the biggest launch in the last decade, if not up there ever. Simply because Bethesda games have been multi-platform games. It has this pull from the PC community. It has this pull from the PlayStation community, even from the Nintendo community. Yeah, Skyrim is on Switch. So this is a big, and you need to lead up to that launch. You need to bring your marketing campaigns in place. You need to have like probably a branded console, like a Series X themed
100% branded controller,
controller,
everything.
So, given that we have not seen or heard anything, is March not a little too soon?
But here's the thing. To your point, I do want to do a little bit of pushback. This was originally ready to rock and roll for 11/11/2022. So what, again, I'm just spitballing here. Could it be Boxenberg? Because you make a great point. From now to 3/23/23, it wouldn't be enough time to get all this stuff done unless it was already done and never announced.
Yeah, absolutely.
I got a bigger thing to add if I could.
Jump in, absolutely.
Sure.
I think the case that they already have this on the official page saying that it will release in the first half kind of lends to it that we might actually get this rumored show. Actually, the rumored show might be the case where they actually now announce the actual launch date. I would think. I don't know. I don't know if it's necessarily finished. I think the biggest thing what they're working on is their frame rate. If I had to hazard a guess, personally,
could be. It could be frame rate. It could be, again, like Bethesda games are very well known for their launch bugs. Yeah,
Right.
it's just it's become a meme in the entire community.
And it's not going to be any
of
different
Bethesda.
this time either, Box.
Nope.
It's not.
No, it's not going to be
No, it
perfect.
Is it possible?
But Xbox needs to be it as good as possible, because if they come out and you have like a cyberpunk situation
Yeah, no.
for Starfield,
No.
you
can't have that.
you can't have that. You can't have that. So yeah, it's really, it would all make sense to put it in that early March window. It would get the hype around the brand. You have Starfield has a big enough pull to compete against a Jedi Fallen Order and a Hogwarts and a Resident Evil. That's all perfect. My only question is, can they get the necessary like marketing and shipment and everything done that quickly? But
Dude,
you make a lot of sense.
I think that they're going to have that in place, but I think we, as a podcasting community, when we get this date, we're going to do it for them and not get a dime. And that's fine. I don't do this for money, folks. True. I do this for the love of gaming. But the word of mouth from the community and the streaming community, I mean, there are people with 4, 5, 6 million people that are sub to their Twitch channels, switch to their sub to their YouTube channels that are going to be talking about this. This is going to be Hulk breaker or world breaker Hulk news. Like the minute the date comes out, the world is going to stop on a dime. And everyone is going to talk about it.
Absolutely. And I'm not talking about letting people know that it's coming. It's more like, the logistics behind big marketing campaigns, like, I don't know, printing adverts on buses and stuff like that. Yeah. So we shall see. I sure hope it is March, because I want to play that game. I want to play it so bad, and I need to book my vacation in. So yeah, let's hope that we will hear from Xbox soon, man.
Retri, you've been chomping at the bit, brother. I see it. You're revved up and ready to go. Break it down for us. 3/23/23. Is it perfect?
It makes sense to me. If you look at Bethesda past, they've actually had plenty of times games were supposed to actually come out in November that ended up being in March. So the whole rumor of March is old. It came out early in 2022 when people were saying it could be March. I think it's definitely 3/23/23, not 3/3, just because based on the fact that it's extremely rare for Game Pass games to ever drop on Fridays. It almost never happens. It's almost always Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. So I'm thinking 3/23/23 is the date. The only thing that gives me a little pause is I saw a tweet from ACG that he said he got 100% confirmation it was June. But Todd Howard said November. So things can obviously change. Things are always fluid. I believe this might actually have more to do with Diablo than anything, personally. Can you imagine Diablo 4 ABK deal just is done? Okay, let's just play a scenario. It's over with. Diablo 4 is now in Game Pass in the same month as Starfield in June. No way, dude. That's crazy. There's not enough time in the world to play either one of those games like in the year. We're talking hundreds of hours. It's Elden Ring-esque time crunch, time suck. You're not going to touch grass for a very long time. So I think it has to do more with Diablo personally. And if that's the case, that's forward thinking from Microsoft, something that in my opinion, I don't see enough of them doing. So maybe they're just planning for the ABK deal to be done and they don't want to hurt their own IPs, which makes a lot of sense. I think March is a great place. Like Boxenberg was saying, it looks polished. It's very much like Redfall in that instance where the game just looks legit, like it's ready to go. So I'm thinking 3/23/23. And I usually don't hop onto rumors and feel like I'm going to back it up. I'm backing this one up. I think it's going to happen. And I am very excited that it's moved up in the slot.
So why do you think 23 though? Because my thing is that's
because it's a Thursday.
So
I think it's March. It's just when in March. I think it's because it's literally a Thursday, just based off of their pattern. I literally cannot recall them dropping third party or first party a huge game on a Friday. It just doesn't happen ever. It's extremely rare, like it's been years. So
for us, it's the biggest launch of the year. For them, it was just a Thursday.
Yeah. I mean, it give you an extra day. Let's be honest. People are going to take time off from work again.
I will.
This
well,
time
I'm
for
retired,
real,
so
you know?
Yeah, really, Boom.
Yeah,
what are
right.
you talking about? Are you canceling your shows, Boom?
I'm not canceling the shows. No, don't worry about that. I'll still be working from home. So there you go.
That's my theory. I'm going with it.
I love
going
it.
against ACG on this one. Sorry, brother.
No, listen, ACG's awesome. We love him over on this channel. He's a good dude, know him personally. He was supposed to actually be on the show a couple of times, and we never hit. This year, he's
definitely got to get him on the show. He's a force, man.
He is. I love ACG. He tells like it is. Wears it on his sleeve, as they say.
All right.
Daniel McGee, let's get your opinion on this, brother. Listen, you've heard the theories. Retries was fantastic. This would be the way you start an Xbox year. We're expected to have a ridiculous amount of support in third party, second party, indies, in of course Game Pass. But the first party didn't show up last year, and it was for a bunch of reasons. But this year, it appears they're going to show up in force. This would be the talk about an opening salvo, if you will. What are your thoughts on the potential 3/23/23 date?
Yeah, I mean, I think that 3/23, 3/23/23, or 3/3/23. I think either of those could work. I think Retsy's probably right. Games typically come out on a Thursday, so that one I think makes slightly more sense. I'll be honest with you. I'm okay with this game coming out anytime from tomorrow. Like, just give it to me whenever. I'm good to go. If they're good to go, I don't care if it's a Sunday. I don't care if it's a birthday or a national holiday. Just put this game out. Give it to me right now. So that's where I'm at. I think it makes a lot of sense for them to put it out. Todd Howard loves his like almost rhyme scheme of release dates. I think genuinely,
it's called quirky, Daniel. Quirky.
Sorry,
quirky
you're right.
dates.
Quirky. I think genuinely that's probably the thing he's most upset about from having delayed it. Is he's like, the date we had was.
I missed my numbers.
It was perfect. It really was.
But if it needed time, it needed time. It is what it is. I'm excited to hear that there's people who are apparently already playing it start to finish. I wouldn't have thought that was the case. But I mean, it just means that this game is as far as I'm concerned, ready to go. So I think it's just a matter of figuring out where it slots in, right? Like, I know that a lot of people, and rightfully so, and I think Pong even said this, was like, whenever this game comes out, everything else is going to have to move out of the way. And I think that's definitely true. I think that the only reason that Microsoft and Bethesda, I guess, might be like sort of struggling picking a date is because like one of the people who would also have to get out of its way is them. So because they have so many other things coming out this year. Plus, even still, I don't think you would want to release it next to like a Zelda or a Spider-Man 2, just because like you want to release that game at a time where the press is going to just be all about your thing. And I think if you come out with a Zelda or a Spider-Man, then there's going to be.
When in the year is that the case?
Oh, I have no idea. I don't know what. I actually don't know
it's
what
literally, it's impossible to do that. I get your point, but
Yeah.
it's impossible to do that.
Oh,
and so you have.
it's not just like, you have to find a place where there's nothing else coming out. I just think specifically those two games are so big
Yeah,
that you
sucking
don't
the
want to
big
necessarily
boys.
come out around them, because like those are the two biggest ones for the competition. And while I think that for me personally, Starfield is probably going to be the one I care about the most, because I'm just not a Zelda guy, and Spider-Man 2, I mean, I think it's going to be fantastic, but Starfield is Starfield.
Yep, I agree.
You know what I mean? It is a situation where I feel like if it comes out next to Zelda, it won't be completely destroyed like Horizon was, but I think it will take a little bit of that shine off of it. And I think it's the same thing for Spider-Man, because Spider-Man is like one of the best known IPs in the planet. And I think, especially because this is a new IP, even though it is a Bethesda game, I think that there's going to be certain people who are like, well, this is an Elder Scrolls, this isn't Fallout. And so maybe they'll be a little bit more tentative about it. Because, I know a lot of people who, they don't necessarily know the developers who are making the game. They don't know like, oh, Todd Howard, his name is gold, right? They're just going to be like, well, I know Fallout, right? And this isn't that. And so I think that you do still need to have that period of like people positively talking about this game, and you need to have it in that situation where this is all people are talking about on Twitter. You need it to hit that. It's a weird thing to say, but you need it to hit at least on the level of like High on Life, where that game came out and just every single time I'm scrolling through Twitter, it's just every single person and their dog is playing this game, talking about this game.
Talking about the game, yeah, good stuff. Yeah, I agree.
And I think I really do think Starfield has a pretty good shot of having that, assuming that they don't come out at the same time as the two other biggest games of the year. Anything else, like they can come out within a week of like Hogwarts, and I think they'll be fine, because it seems like for some reason the big conversation around that is still about how terrible of a person J.K. Rowling is, which is going to detract from its own sales, I'm sure. And the other games of the year, I mean, like I'm excited for them, like Dark Tide, and I think is Space Marine 2 coming out this year. I'm very excited for Space Marine 2.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, that's
there's a lot of games coming out this year that I'm excited for and that we're excited for. But I think those are the only two that Starfield might need to be like cognizant of. So yeah, I think as long as they're not coming out directly next to those, they should be fine. And I think March is a good time for that. I actually don't remember off the top of my head what the Zelda or the Spider-Man release dates are. I think we have a window for it's just fall for Spider-Man, right? And then Zelda has, I think
it said holiday is what they said.
Zelda is May, right?
Yeah, I think so.
I don't actually know. I'm not a big Zelda fan, so I didn't commit it to memory.
To your point, though, Daniel, too, the thing that Starfield will have for going forward is because Todd will not give out preview copies ahead of time to reviewers. Yep. You're going to have that delayed coverage from all the major media sites as they all start getting their hands on it. And they start getting into it. And because it's such a big game, you're going to have articles and again, this is all assuming Starfield gets the way that other Bethesda titles have. But let's say it is the masterpiece that we expect it to be, the generational type game. They're going to be writing articles about this nonstop. So even the mass media that gets out to the wider audience is going to be still having that coverage for this game. It's not going to come, a week prior with review scores, at launch, and then it all dies off again. It's going to have that continuous coverage going forward.
Yeah.
Which is going to
be and I think that's also going to be continued for a longer time post-launch than, Zelda or Spider-Man will be because of the modding community. Like we're going to be 3-4 months out from the release of Starfield, and they're going to be like, hey, somebody just released a mod where you can put the Millennium Falcon into Starfield and have that be your ship.
Oh yeah, I can't wait.
Like that. And for probably like upwards of a year, and then we're going to start seeing the really big mods like you see with Fallout right now, where it's like someone just made it's called like Fallout Miami or something. So like people just make entire new games inside the creation engine as a mod for the previous game, or like recreate old games it's honestly, the modding community for Bethesda games is phenomenal. So I fully expect Starfield to have a very long tail. I just want them to get off on the right foot. You know what I mean?
No, I mean, good stuff. Umbra, let's get your opinion now. Get to the super chats, and then we will get everyone out. Folks, we crossed 610 live viewers. Wow, that's amazing. Folks, I've been going back and forth off of camera. I got a leak in my roof, which sucks, which Ms. BoomStick is handling right now. So after I get Umbra's, opinion on this, and I do the super chats, we're going to get out of here, even if it's a few minutes early, because it is a bit of a clusterfuck. But Umbra, let's get your opinion, brother. 3/23/23. Does that seem like that's going to be the date to hit? Because someone had put in the chat that 2/23/23 is when the PSVR 2 comes out. It would be pretty catty of Microsoft.
I would love that.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, it'd be pretty
Talk
funny.
about it, brother.
It'd be funny if they did do that, but it wouldn't matter. I mean, it's two different things, and PlayStation fans are going to be PlayStation fans. They're not. They don't care. And at least they'll tell us they don't care. But so the thing is, there's a theory I saw here, and it's very interesting. So, Retri, I know before the show in the green room, you were pointing out the 323 thing and why it's happened historically with past games and where they're released in March. So, this theory is credited to Lone Vault Wanderer, who was on the Defining Duke show with Mr. Matty Plays and our good brother Lord Cognito. And he pointed this out. He says, so in the recent gameplay reveal, one of the ships, you can be seeing a string of numbers. Those numbers are the patent numbers for the Wright brothers' first flying machine. It says the date of that patent is March 23, 1903. This means that yeah, exactly. This means that March 23, 2023 is 120 years to the day from the patenting of that first flying machine.
That's a good shout out right there.
Plus, that is also pretty damn interesting, dude.
Absolutely. It says plus it's also 3/23/23, which seems like a very Todd Howard kind of date. So there is some type of credence to this March thing, like you pointed out before, Retri, and I'm interested in that, but I still feel so weird to know that this game could be releasing in the first half. To me, it just seems like they needed more time after they announced that, just because of how that 20 frames per second gameplay was looking. I just felt like, are they going to be able to get a 60 frames per second performance mode with this short amount of time that they got? I don't know. And I know that Microsoft has their best people working on it, you know what I mean, to get it up to par and everything like that. So I'm still wondering. But now with so many people coming out, you know, saying, yeah, it will be in the first half, it'll be foolish of me to be like, yeah, it's still November or something like that. It is what it is. I kind of lean toward giving it later than sooner. And so initially I was June, but as it was pointed out, you couldn't dare do that to cannibalize Diablo 4 and vice versa. That just wouldn't make sense. So the only thing that kind of makes sense is to release it earlier. So March fits that. It still will have stiff competition. It has Resident Evil 4. It's a bunch of other games too. I think the new game, Wild Hearts and things, that won't really matter. But things of that nature are still in its way, or at least will be swatted out of its way when it releases. So it's just really tricky, this window of how things are going to work. We have an overabundance of great games that's going to be releasing, so it's just tough. I just don't know how they're going to fit that out. One thing I'll say too is that typically when games release, from my understanding, I believe it's always been Tuesdays
and Thursdays.
Exactly. So my thinking, if it's not 3/23/23, maybe it's instead something like 3/21.
Could be.
Or 3/14 or 3/7. So I'm wondering if that'll matter at all or anything like that. I don't know. I just don't know. And I go back to what I said a while ago, where I pointed out that it makes sense now that the official website has said and come out and said, yeah, it will be releasing in the first half.
Yeah.
That has to matter. You know, we can't ignore that and argue against it.
Yep.
And that leads to me to believe that rumored show for Xbox will actually happen, because they have to promote this now. They can't not promote it. And they already heard the feedback from them not appearing at the VGAs. So this matters too. So I think maybe in around let's say the 16th, or what is today? Today is the 3rd. So 16th or the 17th of this month. Maybe that'll be that show. Maybe they'll announce it a week beforehand, and that'll be the Xbox show that we'll get. And they'll announce the launch dates for Redfall, for Forza, and for Starfield.
Yeah,
that's my thinking. It's the only thing that makes sense if it's still, since they've confirmed now the first half, they have to market it. And and they know what we've been complaining about with them not showing up to the VGAs. It all just makes much more sense. And it would also tide the anger a lot of us had, including myself, over them being a no-show at the VGAs. So that's my thinking on it.
No, I mean, listen, a good start. First of all, great point out with the first flying machine ever. 100. What you said? 100 years.
Yeah,
120. It'll be the anniversary.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, that's something. And Todd Howard loves those kind of, those dates that mean and matter. Well, listen, ladies and gentlemen, this has been a hell of a show. We broke records. Over 610 people showed up today. Let me catch up on some of the super chats that have come in. There's been quite a few of them, and then we'll get everyone out of here. We also had Brett Bingham drop a very generous $5 super chat and says, "I'm ready to flip over to 2024. Health emergencies with Hogue Law, Post Up, Damar Hamilton, Jeremy Renner, and of course Barbara Walters and Ken Block passing. Yeah, it's not been a good start of the year for sure. Drawn TJ just a $5 super chat says Ken Block. The rally driver died yesterday. He's known for the 1,000 mile per hour Mustang. So sad. Yeah, indeed. Highlander 001 drops an additional $5 super chat and says, "Watch out, Pony Soul incoming. Elden Ring has passed The Last of Us Part 2 to become the most awarded game ever. Elden Ring has earned earned them all." Yeah, no doubt about it. Yeah, I saw that this morning, and yeah, the Salt is going to be throwing. Honorable Merc drops an additional $5 super chat and says, "I hope Todd at least gives us a month so I can put in vacation time from work for Starfield." Yep, see, another vacationer. There you go. Tom from Toonami drops a $5 super chat and says, "I'm hoping their mobile game Todd mentioned is like what Fallout Shelter was for Fallout 4, but with Starfield. That would be kind of dope."
Yeah.
Danny Passion Official drops a very generous $10 super chat and says, "Happy New Year to everyone." Gerald Mack drops an additional $2 super chat and drops a 3-month Ultimate Game Pass code in there. Whoever won, congratulations. And Gerald Mack, thank you for the generosity. Sapo in the chat drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, "Is Final Fantasy 16 going to bend the knee to avoid Starfield if it launches in March?" Probably, because that's just it's gonna eat its lunch for sure. Square Enix games, well, what could you say about them? Clutchman 01 drops a very generous $2 super chat and says, "Where can I watch the FTC versus Microsoft pre-trial?" I actually don't know, to be honest with you. I would have been.
I have a video. There's a phone number. I don't know if you can watch it live, but you can conference in.
Oh, okay. There you go.
Yeah.
So you've dropped it into the chat, or check out Retry on.
Watch my last video before today's.
Go. Okay.
It has the number on there and the code that you need to get in.
Yeah, there you go. And Turk Netsun drops a very generous Netsu, I believe it is how that's pronounced. Drops a very generous $2 super chat and says, "Releasing day after PlayStation launch, which is 2/23/23. Crazy, indeed." But listen, I don't think I'm not buying it, and I'm a diehard VR fan. I'm just not spending that kind of money. But let's get to the outros. We'll start first with Pong. So sell your brand, brother. Talk about where people can reach out to you on social media. Check you and Steal Out each and every Saturday morning on Living Split Screen, and where you can be found on other shows.
Yeah, what a day, Boom. What a time to be back on Xbox Factor Podcast. It's been way too long. Sorry, Boom. Real life just is really,
real life
really
sucks
tough now. Yes, being back in the office is not as fun as it used to be, for sure, especially missing you guys here. So it was a great show. Chat, you guys were all amazing. Again, like Boom said, over 600 people in here. Absolutely ridiculous. Brothers, all great conversation today. Appreciate every one of you. Listen, Pong Soul on Xbox, Pong Soul on Twitter. You guys all know the drill there. Thursday, it is PM in the PM. Pong and Mav in the PM over on Fun Speculations channel. 2-man show, unless we have a guest. We have, last week's show, we did predictions, wild predictions for 2023. So go check that out. But we're live every Thursday night, 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 o'clock Central Time. Be there. We're going to have another great show this week because we do have a lot to talk about with all this news dropping. And then, of course, Friday nights back on Fun Speculations channel for Xbox Ultimate, 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central Time. We go left, we go up, we go down, we go right, but we do talk good gaming while having a lot of laughs. Join us every Friday night on Xbox Ultimate. Saturday mornings, like Boom was just saying, is the time. Living Split Screen, all one word. Myself, my brother from another, Steel Rain. We do one show a week, but you get basically 2 shows because we go 3+ hours, and it's been normal for 4+ hours. Now, every Saturday morning, we start your weekend right. That's right, 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central Time, 3 p.m. UK time. Be there. We didn't make Mission 1K like our brothers did, Kay Asante and Everborn Saga over on the Gaming Circle podcast.
We're gonna get you there this year, brother. We're gonna get you there.
we almost made 700 though, and Steel has raised the ante. We're now on mission 3K for 2023, so we're expecting big things. So be there. We have a great time every Saturday morning. And then Saturday night, it's the Shop Podcast, PTK Blam's channel with Fuzzy Belvedere, another great member of this community, and of course myself. And this week we have Doom Cutie all the way from Australia as our first guest of 2023. So be there 8 p.m. Eastern now, 7 o'clock Central Time, the Shop Podcast, PTK Blam's channel. It is the golden age of gaming, people. Buckle up. 2023 is ridiculous. The first half, just what we know about, is crazy. Get ready. Play what you love what you play, and I'm going to talk to you all real soon.
Thanks, brother. Boxenberger, sell your brand, brother. Talk about where you can be found on YouTube so they can subscribe and help you get to 5K in 2023. And more importantly, you're past 5K. You're like 6, right? 6?
Yeah, the next target is 6K, actually.
Yeah, so let's get you to 6K. Where can people subscribe to you on YouTube? But more importantly, reach out to you on social media.
Yeah, that's super easy. It's Boxenberger everywhere. Of course, on the usual social channels, but also on all consoles, Xbox, PlayStation. You can find me on the Boxenberger. Just add me, hit me up, and let's talk gaming. And we do that each and every Thursday on the World of Gaming at 2 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. UK time, or 8 p.m. Central Europe, where Wandering Dutch and I have our weekly podcast with changing guests. And this week we have Randall Thor coming on to chat with us about Xbox in 23 and beyond. So it's going to be an awesome show. This Thursday, other than that, I have always videos in the works, and it's going to be an awesome year for gaming. I've said it multiple times now on different shows that I have the feeling that 23 can go down as one of the, if not the best years in gaming to date. It's not just Xbox that has an insane year ahead. If you look at the third-party stuff that will come out, it's just incredible what we get this year. So yeah, guys, it's gonna be an awesome year, and I can't wait to share this with the entire community, because that's also one of the big parts of gaming, is talking and sharing gaming with the community. And I'm absolutely humbled to be a little part of this. So yeah, it's going to be a great 23, and I cannot wait for all the podcasts we do, Boom.
I appreciate it very much, brother. Hey, Pong, listen, I got to help Mrs. Boom with something. Please continue the outros for me if you don't mind.
No, I don't mind at all, sir.
You,
so, no problem whatsoever. So, Daniel McGee, let's get you out of here, brother. What's going on with you, man? What you got plans? What you got coming up? Tell people about where they can find you, sir.
So you can find me on Twitter at Daniel J. McGee, or on YouTube at just Daniel McGee. That's Daniel MC capital G. Apparently there's a couple other people who have the same name as me on YouTube, but I'm getting real close to passing them up. So hopefully that won't be a problem for too long. I got a video coming out later today, maybe early tomorrow, depending on how I'm going to take them out. There can only be one, like Highlander. It's the Scottish way. Video coming out later tonight or maybe early tomorrow, depending on whether or not I think it's too late to post by the time it gets uploaded. Just talking about all my favorite things of 2022. It's sort of like my own award show. I think it has all the legitimacy of the Keeleys, so it should be perfectly fine. But it's going to be a fun time. I want to start this year out on a positive note, and so that's what we're doing, even though the rest of the world didn't get the memo.
Right? So. Awesome, man. Awesome show today. Awesome opinions. Glad to be back on with you, brother. So thank you for that. Retry, you got a lot going on over your channel, man. You're blowing up everywhere. You're doing great videos, man. Tell everybody where they can find you, what you got coming up down the pipeline here.
Yeah, sure. Game Pass _daily on Twitter. You guys can just go to the profile. You'll find me on YouTube and TikTok as well. This year is going to be a sleepless one. It's going to be nonstop because of all the Game Pass games that are coming out. But all we do is cover Game Pass 24/7. Give you guys news, trailers, my terrible opinions, my bad takes, like I gave some today. And you can get more of that on Game Pass _daily. I just want to give a shout out to Doom Reaper, Variable Toast, Back from the Dead. We played some Halo the other night, little community
Nice.
game night, and that was a lot of fun. If you guys want to join in on the fun, just look me up on Xbox. It's Retry, and we'll put you into the group with everybody else. That's all I got.
Awesome, man. Keep it up. Keep it up. You're doing good work over there. So
Thank you, Pong. Appreciate it.
brother. Yeah, no, great to be on the show with you finally, too.
Yeah, same.
Absolutely, man. It's been a long time coming. And last, but certainly in no way least, he will never be last in any way, shape, or form. Infinite Umbra, brother. Tell everybody about your shows, what you got going on, and what's coming up.
Arise, ye tarnished.
Just no singing. No singing.
So I did that because in honor of Elden Ring now surpassing the Last of Us as far as the most awards winning. Yeah. Want to just burn a few of our hooved
couple bridges.
Yeah, just burn them a little bit with that on my outro. Yeah, I want to thank you guys for great conversation and great insight. Boom, of course, much love to you. I know you're probably dealing with that leak right now. Got a lot of pots and pans in your hand. Yeah. Much love to the chat. Happy New Year to everybody in the chat. And the more that I see that we're having so many issues with people with health and people who have passed away, tragically or been injured or whatever the case may be, the more I hope that and will hope that everybody looks out for themselves and their families and take care of themselves, because you don't want to miss out on this golden year of gaming, as Pong pointed out. It's going to be a crazy year. I'm hoping the best for everybody. And if you strike it rich, like Punty pointed out, and you hit the lottery, I expect you to donate me some money too. Yeah, and you guys can find, and Danny too. He just pointed to him.
All right, I'll take some.
All right,
just
Richie.
giving it away.
All right, everybody, all of us, give us money. No, seriously. You guys, thank you all in the chat for just being dope. I mean, it's one of the best chats in general, actually. And I visit tons of podcasts to support, so I can say that for a fact. You can find me on Twitter under Infinite Umbra or Umbra Infinite. You'll find me either way. And of course, here on Tuesdays and on Fridays on the Xbox Infinite podcast at 7:00 Eastern. This week we have KY Bob and J Rock. I'm sure many of you all know, appearing as guests for the first show of this year. So come by, say hello to us, show some love, and we appreciate you guys.
Thank you, brothers. Thank you. Appreciate you being here. Do Daniel's outro yet?
Yep, everybody's done. Boom, you're up.
All right, listen, gentlemen, everyone in the chat, over 600 people tuned in today. I cannot thank you enough for the incredible support. The super chats, again, they are going to go for a good cause, at least for one of the big ones that we're doing this year. Mrs. BoomStick and I are giving away 10 copies of Stalker 2, and we're buying those copies to support the team. And of course, as we get throughout the year, we'll announce some bigger topics. Thank everyone on the panel for being here, because without you, there's no show. And of course, I'm going to close out the show with something that's important to me. Hopefully, one day it'll be important to you. And that's something that my dad taught me with kids, and he would say, "Craig, treat others how you want to be treated, and also it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, son. I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day." So take care, everyone. We'll see you next week on the newest episode of the Xbox Factor Podcast.